Am I the asshole for making seat swapper cry? So, I board the plane, settle into my economy plus seat. Woman approaches, asks me to change seats to 32B so her 9-year-old can sit with her. I ask how much cash she has to repay me for the money I spent on the seat. She says I'm cruel for leaving her son with anxiety sitting alone. I ask if she offered the person sitting next to her son her seat in economy plus. She said she needed the leg room. I said clearly she cares more about her own comfort than her son's well-being. If she cared, she would give up her seat and move to the back. She breaks out in a screaming wail filled with, "How could you?" 10 min later a smiling man sits down next to me grinning about his sweet upgrade. My partner says IATAH for questioning her parenting in public and making her cry. Am I? Not the asshole. She's in the wrong for 1 not being able to plan and book ahead of time so her son isn't left alone, 2 not being able to put aside her comfort ahead of her precious son, and 3 thinking that anyone owes her anything for being a poor planner. Not the asshole. It's so annoying for people to do this. They don't want to pay for seats but want people who do pay to give up their seat. I would never unless it's equal or better value. That last time a man asked me to switch so he could sit with his girlfriend, I got to move 6 rows up and he brought my bag and put in the bin for me. Even sent me a drink. Not the asshole. If you had done what my brother usually does if someone asks him to swap seats, then yes, you would have been. He is 6'4", so he always books the exit row so he gets more leg room, otherwise his legs get smooshed into someone's back. Even on the exit rows he sometimes is smooshed. His usual response to anyone that asks him to swap is, "Fuck off." He flies quite often and he has told me on almost every flight he has taken in recent times someone has asked him to switch for some stupid reason. He was on a flight back from Fiji yesterday and he said some girl asked him to switch. She didn't even get to the reason she wanted before he told her to fuck off. Not the asshole. I really hope this is real because that manipulative woman who sold out her son for more legroom deserved to get exposed as the opportunistic leech she is. Don't feel bad about her tears. They weren't real anyway. Not the asshole. Whenever anyone is asking to swap seats, it's always for a better one and they always throw a fit like this to try and get what they want when told no. People like this should be removed from the plane. Not the asshole. She knew exactly what she was doing and you foiled her plan. Am I the asshole for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a guest felt tricked? My husband, 32M, and I, 30F, had a vegan wedding because we're both vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and no one complained until the reception. The cake was gorgeous. 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Toward the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came up to me looking visibly upset. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because it felt like I was pushing my lifestyle on everyone. I told her the cake wasn't meant to make a statement, it was just the dessert we chose for our wedding. She insisted I either move the cake off the main table or add a sign saying it was vegan so people weren't tricked into eating it. I refused because 1. It was my wedding, 2. It's a cake, not propaganda, and 3. No one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out, and now my in-laws are saying I should have compromised to avoid drama. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, but my husband thinks I could have just put up a sign to keep the peace. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. The whole thing was vegan. It was your wedding, your choice. I wouldn't feel tricked by eating a vegan cake at all. She has some issues. Let her seethe and be upset. You don't owe her anything. Putting up a sign would have rewarded her bad, entitled behavior. You had no reason to do it. Not the asshole. The only things you are obligated to include are allergens, dietary and religious food exemptions. Being vegan, unless they are allergic to something like soy, is not something you have to put. In fact, it's actually more time-consuming to label something vegan, because every ingredient has to be outright vetted to be not animal-based to be legally labeled as vegan in the first place. Like kosher or halal, there are rules and guidelines you have to follow. Linda is being incredibly ridiculous, and no, a sign to appease people being dumb is not the answer. This is the kind of person that would have complained, sign or no by the sounds of it. Not the asshole. Should you also put a sign up if you serve broccoli? You're not tricking anyone into eating something they're allergic to, or tricking vegans into eating a non-vegan cake. This is just absent of certain ingredients. The horror. Not the asshole. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because it felt like I was pushing my lifestyle on everyone. Not gonna be the first time you have problems with this aunt. Clearly someone who gets incensed at the idea of someone living in a way that is different than what she does. I suggest you ignore her and hope she stays away. Not the asshole. You already told everyone all the catering would be vegan. No reason to expect the cake should be any different. Not sure what she was expecting here. Let her have her tantrum. Don't ever invite her to dinner. Not the asshole. I'm not vegan, but I had plenty of vegan dishes. Some dishes just are vegan without even having thought about it. If the cake's delicious, who really is going to care about the lack of animal-based ingredients? Am I the asshole for telling my pregnant friend I can't stand her complaining anymore? I want to start off by saying that I, F29, am 7 months pregnant myself. My friend Cassie, 25F, is also pregnant, and about 7 weeks ahead of me. At first it was awesome being pregnant together. We'd vent about things, talk about how excited we are, plan mommy to be dates, etc. But now her attitude has been rubbing me the wrong way and I can't stand talking to her about it anymore. She's gone from occasional venting to texting me upwards of 5 times a day about every horrible symptom she has. What bothers me is that I also have a lot of the same irritating pregnancy symptoms, but when I try to sympathize she pulls the, "Oh, just wait until you're at blank weeks" card as if it's some strange competition. So I dropped the sympathy angle and decided to just send her positive messages instead. But she totally sidesteps my attempts at positivity or my suggestions and complains about something else. For example, if I suggested a medicine I took for heartburn she'd reply, "No, I'll just throw it up." If I tried to suggest that she take some time off work because she's clearly unhappy, she'd reply, "I can't, I don't have enough sick days." Which is fair, I guess, but it gets old very quick being shot down over and over. She ignores all my upbeat messages about staying strong and that she's almost there and that she can do it and replies with, "I'm miserable," instead. What pushed me over the edge is she also stopped asking me about my pregnancy completely. Never checks in with me, never asks about my baby, and when I try to share anything positive she hardly acknowledges it. I went from feeling like we were in this together to feeling like she is the only pregnant one. I finally snapped when she texted me about her swollen ankles for the 20th time and said that I'm already anxious enough with my own due date creeping up and that her negativity is ruining my own pregnancy. I told her that I'm not feeling great either, but I'm not sending her lists of ailments every morning and I suggested she start venting to her husband instead. I obviously hurt her feelings, she read it and hasn't spoken to me since. I feel completely justified, but my husband said I shouldn't have said anything, that she's clearly struggling more, and that I should just basically treat her with pity because she's so unhappy. I think she's a total downer and I don't need that energy weighing me down, but now I'm wondering if I'm being insensitive because she is so close to giving birth and clearly having more complications than I am. Am I the asshole? Does she think she's the first pregnant person ever? She sounds obnoxious. The last trimester of pregnancy sucks for everyone. I guarantee once her baby is born she's going to act like she's the only one kept up all night by a newborn. Then the only one whose baby cries a lot from teething. Then the only one with a toddler who throws random tantrums. The list goes on. You are not the asshole. And congratulations. Not the asshole. This sounds like a real pain to deal with and you already have enough of those. Venting is the kind of thing that should be either brief or mutual, imho. Hers is all the time and all about her, which is not okay. Also, mention to your husband that she isn't actually, clearly struggling more, as you deal with all the same problems she does. As you mentioned up top, and you don't have the bandwidth to play silent listening ear on top of that. If she wants to have an actual conversation where you both are heard, she knows where to find you. Not the asshole. She sounds insufferable. Pregnancy can be miserable. The last 6-8 weeks were awful for me with both of my kids. That doesn't mean I only talked about that or tried to one-up people. I think boundaries should be set now. Can you imagine how she's going to be once your babies are born? It will either be that her baby never sleeps and you have no idea how hard she has it. Or her baby is a great sleeper and she rubs it in your face. Then she'll compare when they start crawling, talking, walking, etc. Not the asshole. Even if she's miserable, even if she thinks she's warning you, it's clearly too much. You are not her emotional punching bag and she sounds like an energy vampire. I would reach out and calmly explain that you need her to know that you love and care for her but that the complaining is taking a toll and filling you with dread for your own pregnancy. Say that she doesn't ask about you and it feels too lopsided to always focus on her because her baby is coming sooner. Also, is that going to be the norm as your kids grow up? Hers may crawl first so she gets complaining rights? Let her know you've set boundaries with other people about what you want to talk about or hear and to stay friends and stay in touch. You need her to stop whining to you about her symptoms. Since the two of you are pregnant, it is highly likely that both of your hormones are all over the place right now. Having said that, not the asshole. You may have been harsh with her, but I guess someone needed to be honest with her. If she expects you to understand what she is going through, she should do the same for you. This is a happy time in your life and you should focus on that and not on what she says. Do not, I repeat, do not let her weigh you down. Not the asshole. I'm also pregnant and can't even begin to explain how much I've hated hearing the, "just wait," from every woman who's been pregnant in my life. I'm sorry your friend hasn't been more supportive of you. She's been a bad friend, and if she can't recognize that and apologize after you pointed it out, maybe not talking to her is actually a blessing. Congratulations though, time to focus on yourself and your baby. Party popper. Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my brother after he missed my birthday? I, 30 female, have always loved celebrating my birthday. My parents were not amazing parents, but my mom always made sure on our birthdays a big deal was made. I got married quite young, 21, and didn't have a lot of money at the time, so our wedding was very cheap. It was even BYO. I still loved it but always regretted not being able to pay for a big meal for everyone. So for my 30th, because I'm in a way better financial position, I wanted to do something where I paid for everyone's food and drink and we all had fun. I told everyone about it months in advance, as I had to prepay for the venue and let them know about catering. It got to a month before my birthday and my brother, 26 male, hadn't RSVP'd yet, so I messaged him to ask. He said that he wouldn't be coming as him and his girlfriend had just bought a puppy and could not leave the puppy unattended that long. I responded asking him if there was no one else that could look after the dog, to which he responded the dog was his responsibility, not anyone else's. I explained to him how upset I was, as it felt like he wasn't even trying to come. He said he didn't see what the big deal was, and I always make him uncomfortable by guilting him about stuff like this. For context, I have gotten mad at him before for not attending my son's birthday party and not letting me know he wasn't coming. We argued a bit about other history that's not relevant. What made me mad more than anything was his complete inability to empathize. He made me feel like I was being the difficult one for being upset with him. 5 years ago I would have lost it and told him to get out of my life forever, but I've done a lot of therapy in that time, and I simply said I wasn't going to let him make me feel bad for having a valid response to my own brother missing an important birthday to me. I said I needed a break from talking to him so I could enjoy my birthday, and I loved him. We left it at that. It's been 6 months, it is now coming up to my son's birthday, and I sent him an invite, as I don't believe in withholding my kids from someone because I'm mad. My parents did that a lot. He hasn't responded, and when my mom asked him if he was coming, he said he was waiting on a conversation with me first. In my family that means I will be the one that has to call, and he will expect me to apologize for being upset with him, or he won't come to my son's birthday. He is more stubborn than I am, so it will have to be the way it goes for him to come. Am I the asshole if I just don't apologize and continue the stalemate? Edit. For those saying I'm upset over parties, it's not the party I'm upset about. If he had offered to do something else with me instead, or even have me over to meet his dog and watch a movie, I honestly wouldn't have been upset. The whole cutting people my life over petty stuff is to do with high school friends and a couple of aunts where I acknowledged I was doing the wrong thing, so went to therapy to change that. I have never acted that way with my brother. My parents divorced when he was 12 and wouldn't stay in the same room together, so I went to his graduation sporting games to support him, as I wanted him to have someone consistent in his life. The irrelevant history was us arguing over who was stuck between my parents more, which we both agreed by the end of it that we had veered off track. The guilting him about my son's party was simply that I cried when we spoke about it, which made him feel uncomfortable. I ended up apologizing for crying, which is why I say I'm afraid to apologize this time, as I'm so used to apologizing for having emotions, which I don't think is healthy for me. I do agree with some that as I broke off contact I should have been the one to initiate it again, but I thought sending him the invite was doing that. I'm not taking sides here, but you could call and speak with him and not apologize and see what happens. Just say, hey, how's it going? Are you coming to my son's birthday party? Not the asshole. Nah, everyone sucks here. You also don't seem to empathize with his perspective. I'm sorry your brother doesn't value these birthday events like you do. It doesn't seem like you expressed any interest in his new pet, which can also be a momentous passage for some people. It was passive-aggressive of you to send another invite after initiating a relationship break because of arguing over invitations. Not the asshole. Your brother is acting like a petulant 2-year-old child by refusing to go to his nephew's party until you apologize to him. Also apologize for what? You didn't do anything wrong in my opinion. You are the asshole. Your brother is allowed to have other responsibilities. You're upset about a birthday party for an adult. Grow up, you aren't 10 years old anymore. You are the asshole. An invitation is not a must say yes kind of thing. Invitations can be refused, and you don't contact people and ask why and try to make them change their mind. If someone does not RSVP, then you do not expect them to show, period. You let them live their lives. And you stop taking it as a personal affront. That said, your brother was impolite to not RSVP for your birthday, and his excuse about the puppy was just silly. He's showing you that he does not care to celebrate as much as you do, or maybe simply not with you. Stop inviting him. You won't have to worry about his RSVPing anymore. Don't let him control you with his desire for a conversation. Lol, just move on. 5 years ago I would have lost it and told him to get out of my life forever, but I've done a lot of therapy in that time and I simply said I wasn't going to let him make me feel bad for having a valid response to my own brother missing an important birthday to me. He wasn't trying to make you feel bad, he said he couldn't come and asked you to stop with the guilt trip. You're the one who was trying to guilt him and make him feel bad. He was a little rude by not RSVPing until you called, but he's allowed to not leave a small puppy alone and he's allowed to not come to every one of your son's birthdays prior. I think you are the asshole because when you don't like how he acts he sucks, but when he doesn't like how you act you think he's not allowed to feel that way.